Mic check, 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
Greetings. It's good to see everybody. This will be your regular session of your full commission meeting. Today is May 2nd, 2024. Before I call the meeting to order, I want to announce that some commissioners, staff, and the public are attending remotely via Zoom, by phone, or on site. All participants joining by phone should mute their phones, please, when not speaking to avoid any background noise. During this meeting, please make sure you announce yourself by name and title every time you speak, so the public that is observing knows exactly who is speaking. Please be sure to speak at an audible level directly into the microphone so that the public can hear your comments and an accurate record can be made of this meeting. This is critical given the number of remote participants and its current guidance from our Kansas Attorney General's office. If public comments are allowed on agendas, which they are tonight, comments should be limited to just the topics of unified government areas of interest or concern. Per the commission rules and procedures, comments should not include any rude or derogatory remarks. Please make sure that you remove any abusive comments or statements or motives that are not conducive to professional decorum for these chambers. And I'd like to note that any disorderly conduct and any remarks over your time limit during open mic is strictly prohibited. You'll be given up to 3 minutes tonight. I will now call this meeting to order. Clerk, roll call.
Roll call. Kane. Here. Lopez.
Here.
Stites. Davis.
Here.
Bynum. Here. Burrows.
Here.
Townsend. We have an absence memo. Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Here.
Hill.
Here.
Garner.
Here. Thank you, clerk. Tonight's invocation will be given by Pastor Wakes of the Olivet Institutional Baptist Church. Following immediately after his invocation will be the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask everyone to please stand.
Let us pray. Dear God, our Father, we are so grateful for this opportunity, Lord, to gather together as citizens of this wonderful county, which have allowed us to be citizens. We thank you, Father, for our mayor, our commissioners, and all the leadership here. We thank you, Father, for those who join us tonight as we attempt, Lord, to seek ways in which to improve the lives of the citizens here. Thank you, God, for your presence with us tonight. And we pray, oh God, that you'll be with us throughout our deliberations. In the name of our Lord and Savior, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Wakes. Appreciate the prayer. Clerk, are there any revisions?
There are no revisions to the agenda this evening.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Burns.
Thank you, Mayor, and welcome back. This is a motion. The seventh extension of the Lanier United or Willie Lanier Development Agreement related to the elimination of the Jack Reardon Convention Center to provide for housing, which is a project in my district within the downtown area, was approved on April 11th, 2024 during my absence. I had asked that the action on this project be delayed for further vetting, but that was not honored, even though I am the district commissioner representing the area. Everyone is aware I was having complete total knee surgery during this time, and I do not understand why I was not allowed just a few weeks to represent the concerns of my constituents. While earlier approved agreements for this project anticipated the use of some city funding and public participation, those earlier agreements were not as liberal and flexible as the amendment number 7, which allows Mr. Lanier to access these funds before he is required actually to start building anything. In fact, this new agreement gives him access to public funding to pay for tear down or demolition of the Reardon Convention Center without an absolute guarantee that he will build anything. The new amendment number 7 gives Mr. Lanier access to the CID and TGT funds on hand to pay his pursuit costs, which he claims to be in excess of $884,207. The new agreement would give him 37% or $325,000 at closing, which is defined it essentially as showing financing for the project. The agreement also provides a schedule for how he would gain access to the remaining public funds in a manner much more liberal than the one before. How many deals have gone dark with financing commitment in hand? More should be required than just having a piece of paper in hand showing a financing commitment. The old agreement had a substantial completion requirement before the disbursement development pursuit costs from CID or TGT funds, but this amendment, section 4.7, stipulates substantial completion shall not be required for the disbursement of the development pursuit costs or the development costs from CID procedures or the TGT grant on the UG contribution to develop. These payments rely upon submission of a certificate of expenditure form, which is soft or non-audited form that does not mitigate the UG's risk. At this point, the developer would also have access to over $2 million of public funds to demolish the Reardon Center. What this means is that Mr. Lanier would have public taxpayers' money to tear down a facility that has value for this segment of our community, and there are not proper safeguards to protect or receive repayments of these funds. The same is true for the additional 7.5 million taxpayer money. If you search the 16th Judicial District Court records and website portal documentation can be found alleging over 20 civil suits against Mr. Lanier for actions allegedly related to breach of contract. In light of the above, I present a motion asking that we protect our taxpayers by rescinding the action on this matter on April 11, 2024. I ask that this motion be approved and that the legal department prepare documents showing that the UG Commission has withdrawn and canceled support for this project. That is my motion.
There's a motion, and I will accept,
Second.
entertain this item as well as the motion. There's a second. At the request of council, we're going to take about give us a 5-minute recess. So we'll convene at 7:17. Thank you for your patience.
Extend my motion at this time. That'd be good. And then let it die.
Okay, thank you for your patience, and I apologize for that delay. Commissioner Burns?
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'd like to rescind that motion that I made. I think there was a second, so
Yeah, second.
Okay.
Commissioner
I'm
Lopez?
sorry, I rescind my second.
Okay, thank you.
okay. So at this time, I move that we have Mr. Lanier's present present his project for the Reardon Center at a future commission meeting for further discussion of the commission. That's my motion.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second?
Lopez, second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Seeing none, clerk roll call.
Roll call, Kane. No. Lopez,
Yes.
Stites. Davis,
No.
Bynum.
No.
Burrows.
Yes.
Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez. Ramirez,
No.
Hill,
No.
motion fails.
Okay. That takes us to the next item on the. Well, before we get there, clerk, are there any revisions to tonight's agenda?
There are no revisions.
Okay, thank you. That takes us to the mayor's agenda. I just want to say, it feels good to be back and I believe you see what's on the screen there. I know a lot of folks that ask, I'm over 2 years into my term and a lot of folks ask, well, Mayor, what are your priorities? For those of you who haven't seen me out, I just want to reaffirm my priorities to both this commission, to staff, and more importantly, the community. And let you know that for the remainder of my term, I'm really going to be advocating, working with this commission and working with you in the community to seek about responsibly lowering both property taxes, user fees, and DPU pilot fees. As well as I'll be advocating for the complete if not partial removal of the pilot off your BPU bills. I'll also be advocating for a more efficient, customer service, friendly, unified government, working with our commission again, as well as our administrator and staff. But I think the biggest thing off that, and you can see that, and you can also go back and get that again. If you need a copy of it, the clerk can get that to you or somebody in my staff. I just want to reaffirm my commitment to this community, that I am community driven, and that I will continue to advocate for the reforms and the things that are most important to you. And I just wanted to say thank you as I navigated through my recovery, for all those that sent prayers, thoughts, phone calls, cards, and letters to me. It really meant a lot to me as I navigated through my recovery. So thank you. And I did want to have that up to just reaffirm my commitment to all the people of Kansas City, Kansas, and all the people that work with the unified government. I love you. I love this community. And thank you for bearing with me through this time. I also want to thank you to Mayor Pro Tem Commissioner Tom Burrows, who stepped up and faced the challenge to hold it down while I was gone. And I know he was challenged, but he faced that challenge head on, and he did the best job he could do. So thank you, Commissioner Tom Burrows, for that service, not to me, but to the awesome and amazing people of Wyandotte County. That takes us to the first item on the mayor's agenda, which is a presentation by Stevie Wakes. He is a BPU board member, and he will give a presentation to the public.
Good evening and welcome back, Mayor Garner. Mayor Pro Tem Burrows, Commissioners Burns, Bynum, Davis, Hill, Kane, Ramirez, Stites, Townsend, and Wyandotte County residents. I know I've been asked by you, Mayor Garner, to speak on behalf of BPU, and I have the board's permission. But I respectfully ask that before I represent BPU, can I represent myself? Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Before I became a board member of BPU, I had a passionate dislike for BPU. But I had a great love and respect for Robert Mylan, Sr., who worked for over 30 years on the BPU board. I disliked BPU because one policy they had for delinquent customers. When I became delinquent, I felt shame when I had to go into the lobby, place my name on a list, and wait to be called by name by a customer service representative. Then I became frustrated because after I made arrangements to pay my delinquency and made my first payment, my service was disconnected because I did not realize that in addition to the arranged first payment, I had to include in that first payment an additional late fee, which I thought was unfair because I didn't think it was clearly explained to me when I made my arrangements. And I felt like I was being set up for failure. It was those set of circumstances that caused me to pay more attention to my BPU bill and see that my electric and water utilities were not the only things that I was paying for. So when Bob Mylan asked that I consider being a candidate for the BPU board, I shared with him that I would have to pray about it and discuss it with my family and my church congregation. And I know that it is easier to change an organization from the inside rather than the outside. And I was elected this year by the citizens of BPU's first district to serve them on the board. Now, as requested by the mayor and unanimously by my fellow BPU board members, I will give the BPU update. Hello. Again, my name is Stevie Wakes, 533 Oakland Avenue, Kansas City, Kansas. I'm a pastor, a husband, a father, an employee in the office of the district attorney, and an elected member of the BPU Board of Public Utilities. Last year, while campaigning for this elected office, I lost my mother. However, there are basic moral laws of faith which she and my father taught me and my 8 brothers that guide my civic engagement. I am proud now that BPU is one of the best, safest, and most reliable electric and water utilities in the nation. And I gave 3 goals for my campaign. Number one, increase communication between the unified government, BPU, and ratepayers. Two, better efficiency to decrease costs for ratepayers. And three, remove the pilot from utility bills that result in a shut-off penalty. And I'll add a fourth one. If not total removal of the pilot, then reduce it to at least 6%. And I'll justify that number in a while. The relationship between the unified government and the BPU public utilities goes back over many years. However, communication has broken down and many residents are left without a clear understanding of how their tax dollars are being spent. One of the concerns has been over the pilot. Others have been over the stormwater and trash charges. BPU has very little to do with stormwater, wastewater, or trash. We are just the billing agent. But I can speak about the pilot. The pilot is a percentage of BPU's gross revenues, a percentage of all monies that BPU receives. It is assumed that BPU pays pilot instead of paying property taxes. That is why it is called payment in lieu of taxes. This pilot that BPU collects is given to the unified government. This is a standard practice nationwide for all municipally owned utilities. Some of the concerns that citizens cry out against is the pilot because it increased significantly after the city and county governments unified. So the glaring question has been, did the consolidation really benefit us? The UG Commission agreed to increase the pilot with the promise to lower it later, but that never happened. The pilot is now at 11.9%. 11.9%. When the average municipally owned utilities is around 6%. So our pilot is almost double the national average. As a matter of fact, the BPU pays more money to the unified government when the pilot is increased, and the unified government receives more money. But because the BPU has been the billing agent for the unified government, BPU gets blamed for the increase in the pilot. The BPU thanks Mayor Tyrone Garner for bringing BPU and the unified government commissioners together for the first time in many years to help bring dialogue amongst these entities to resolve issues, bring efficiencies and transparency, and restore trust within our constituents who are angry about the rising cost of living within our county or in our territory. Earlier this year, dialogue began between the BPU and UG staff. They began to meet about the separation of the bill. And the goal was to have this done by April of this year. The BPU would bill for the water and electricity, and the unified government would bill for the other items: wastewater, stormwater, trash, and recycle. It is understood that pilot may not be able to come off the bill legally. However, that is a charge is being given to the BPU. BPU is aware that if we separate the bill, there's a cost associated with it. And the BPU has considered this cost. However, if the unified government decides to invest in a different billing system other than what we're already using, the cost would be so much more, further increasing the cost to our citizens. Please take note of the goals we have yet to reach. Number one, lowering the cost of living for our citizens in Wyandotte County. Two, maintaining communication among our elected officials of BPU and UG to ascertain that staff stays on the same page as our elected officials. And three, bring transparency with the billing and by separating BPU billing and UG billing, because it is confusing to some and misunderstood by others. Now, what I'm about to present to you in the slide presentation are the same slides, maybe updated a bit, that were presented to the UG on July 13th of last year. And we're still, Mayor, unfortunately, in the same situation. No movement by this board or this commission to rectify these issues or bring satisfaction to our citizens. BPU Board of Directors, this is was the agenda. Look at it. Remove remove UG charges on bill. That's over a year. Implement pilot reduction plan over a year. Discuss BPU contributions to unified government community. Then the UG Commission will discuss BPU proposed rate increases, effect of proposed BPU rates on the UG revenues via pilot. What is BPU level of debt? All these things, as you can see, was what was presented on July 13th. Concerns. These are the concerns still. What are my BPU charges combined? Why are the BPU and UG charges combined on one bill? Why can't I pay for BPU charges and not get shut off? My trash is not getting picked up. Why am I still being billed for it? How are my UG charges calculated? Where does the money go for pilot? And where are the UG rates? Why are the UG rates going up? And we provided a really good, the BPU provided a really good rationale for the rates going up, but we did not include, amen, the raising of the pilot causing our budget to decrease either. Listed below are items that appear on the BPU, and we give that and thank God that they have changed the bill, and we'll show that in a minute. Here it is. So this is a much more acceptable type of billing where we see the difference between the two charges. Yet it still has that big name BPU, and so people think that BPU. So we get a lot of calls. The BPU gets a lot of calls about UG charges. This other side of the BPU redesign bill. These were the billing suggestions. Conduct benchmarking survey to see how other cities in Kansas and Missouri are charging residents for similar services. And this was part of the discussion between the BPU and the UG. They provided all these suggestions. Actions taken to avoid rate increases. This is what BPU did. These are all the things that we did. Reduce staffing levels by 10%, reduce budgets between 2018 and 2020 by 42 million, deferred approximately 40% of our capital construction projects, and implemented 3 moratoriums, especially during COVID, longer than any utility in the region, over a span of 18 months. BPU contributions to the unified government community. This was the direct pay and expenses. Look at how much of the pilot is provided. And so we provided this. This is updated from from July 13th. Other UG services. Look at all that we give to the UG as a utility. And mind you, UG has a budget and BPU has a budget. They are separate. 2023 Public Power Statistical Report. The median pilot fee, reduced contributions by public power utilities to cities as percentage of its gross operating revenue in 2020. The median utilities with revenues of $100 million and higher, their pilot is 6.9%. Then the median payment in lieu of taxes alone by public power utilities, 6%. Okay, then percentage of all municipal utilities providing fee or reduced service. In other words, these are cities or municipalities that give back to their utilities rather than take all from the utility. And so they provide that information. Percentage of municipal providing reduced rates in street lighting, 33%, 1/3. Percentage of municipalities providing reduced rates for traffic signals, 13%. Okay, so, and we shared this. If you had a private utility such as Evergy, and we all know about Evergy, or we had our municipally owned utility, we see the cost difference and what we pay and what a IOU would cost us. Industrially owned utility. Okay. So this review of the contribution to BPU, well, they provide this is to conduct a benchmarking survey to see what other Kansas City metropolitan cities are collecting in terms of free or reduced services from their local electric utilities. And so he says, to my knowledge, none of these cities are receiving any. Bonner Springs, Edwardsville, Kansas City, Missouri, Overland Park, Independence. So they pay what they use. As part of the charter ordinance, the pilot is assessed against BPU gross revenues. The UG sets a rate pilot on BPU customers each year. Payment in lieu of taxes collected by BPU and transferred to the unified government. As we stated earlier, BPU is exempt from property taxes. Investor-owned utilities, IOUs, pay a franchise fee to local governments for use of its right-of-way. IOUs in Kansas are not required to pay property taxes within communities they serve. Okay, so now this particular graph shows the increases in pilot. Notice when I moved here in '85, this was practically the rate, and you can see what I've experienced since I've been here in Wyandotte County, the increases in rate, and you can see, as I stated earlier, how it's significantly increased. And people are wondering, you know, was it a good thing for us to unify? We were supposed to save money, but here we're paying more money. And so that question can only be answered by you. Comparable pilot data with our with other municipality utilities, Board of Public Utilities. This is our pilot rate. Look at the others. 11.9%. So these are the suggestions. If the UG continues to charge a pilot, then examine how other cities function while receiving less pilot from their local municipal utilities. Consider a long-term plan for reducing the pilot. We know you can't do it overnight, but just plan to do it. I think most of our citizens would agree that we need relief, not yesterday, but today, and not tomorrow, but today. Consider lowering the 15% cap on the pilot to 10%. Consider foregoing the windfall effect when BPU raises electric and water utilities. What does that mean? It means that when we just raised our rates, the UG could have said, okay, since you're raising your rates, we're going to keep the pilot at the same rate it was before we raised the rates, and therefore we won't take that. We won't take it from your gross revenue. We'll take it from your gross revenue minus the increase in utility rates. If the proposed BPU rate increase would get improved, which what did happen. It would generate the following: UG would gain an additional $749,000 increase in pilot payments. Okay. So over the past decade, BPU has managed its own consumption by doing this. Okay, and so give you a number of things which we provided also on July 13th. Okay. Suggested actions for UG energy and water usage. And this is another thing that when I talked about costs, the unified government has not evaluated its electric and water usage to try to save money for the customer. And BPU has the ability to give you ways in which you can save money or save your usage or save the cost of your usage by doing various things, LED lights, and another means by which you can use to save the customer's money. And so that's some of the things that they provide suggestions for energy and water usage. Okay. The UG would then be in a better position to create energy and water savings. Okay. This is a summary of BPU financials, our assets, our debts, our combined revenues, our credit ratings. And that's something that considering all the money we have to spend for the upgrades in this particular city and county, it's so important that we maintain a good credit rating. Economic development for decades, BPU has partnered with the UG and the Wyandotte Economic Development Council to pursue economic development projects. A couple of those have been seen. The BPU offers short-term economic development rate when applicable based upon application. BPU board has a small economic development fund to assist developers who meet our policy objectives. By policy, BPU invests millions of dollars to extend infrastructure to accommodate the growth. So as part of the BPU mission statement, the utility assists customers in a number of ways. We're one of the top 10 organizations in the metro when it comes to employees donating to the United Way. We offer 2 utility assistance programs to help customers pay their bills. Since 2009, BPU has raised over 2.3 million in direct support. BPU offers the widest range of bill pay options in the area. BPU offers the most flexible payment arrangements in the area. BPU Golf Tournament has donated over $740,000 to children's charities. UG and BPU should get back. These are the recommended next steps as I prepare to close. The UG and BPU should get back to our joint quarterly meetings. Both elected bodies should meet at least annually or semi-annually to work on a path forward. Both entities should work toward paying for the services they use, continue to work on strategies to improve our communications to those we serve. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Wakes. Any comments from the commission? Mr. Wakes? Mr. Burns, you got a question?
Yes, Mr. Wakes. I want to thank what good work the BPU does.
Thank you, sir.
It's a good organization. But you also realize at the same time that the BPU is just basically an arm of the unified government. Okay.
Yes, sir. I know. I'm aware of that. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, you know, when
That's why I suggest we continue working together to try to bring solutions. Yes, sir.
I agree, but we're not all bad.
Oh, no,
And
please.
you're not all good.
Please.
All right.
When you say that we're not all good, I don't think any of us are all good.
No, but thank you for all you do.
Oh, thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Bynum.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, BPU Board Member Pastor Wakes. Appreciate you
Thank you.
taking the time to come and be with us, as well as your service to the community through BPU Board service. Back in July, when the BPU Board met with the Unified Government Commission, BPU Board Member Rose Mulvaney Henry and I at that time had offered to continue our task force efforts that brought forward the pilot relief for older adults. And I just want to put that offer on the table again, so that we had offered to continue to meet to try to find ways to streamline the bill, separate the bill, whatever could bring us forward. And so I'm just here offering with her permission that our committee continue to meet on that, or Mayor, in whatever format you would find appropriate for she and I to continue to work on that with staff from both UG and BPU. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Maris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Wakes, for coming, and
Thank you,
thank you for your public service to the BPU board and to this community. Just want to echo what Commissioner Bynum was saying about this task force. They are the ones that brought forward the ordinance to create the opportunity we haven't done it yet. That's the thing that we need to still do. Create a residential rate and a commercial rate for our BPU, I believe, or for the pilot. We still need to continue to do that work. And also that came out of her task force was the using, as you had mentioned, the windfall that comes from when BPU raised their rates. And please, Commissioner Bynum and Dr. Hill, please correct me if I'm wrong. When that windfall came in, that's what we used to create the exemption program for the pilot relief program. And so that task force has done a lot of good. And I've heard, and not knowing if it's true or not, just some mashing of both staffs on our UG side and the BPU side, animosity and just heads hitting to get the bifurcation through. I think now is the time for us to go back again to the electeds. Hey, taking it over, both BPU board and the UG board working together. And so that we can finally get a solution going. So I would really like if in any other way, but if Commissioner Bynum's board member Rose Mulvaney Henry and now, well then Dr. Hill, but now Commissioner Hill continue that work with the community and to bring back solutions and ways forward so that we can get past this and do what's best for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Board Member, Pastor Wakes, thank you so much for your presentation. And honestly, thank you to the BPU. I actually had a constituent that had some issues. They lost power during the storm. Within hours, they had responded and did a really fine job in restoring power. And so I do think there are benefits of having this municipal agency, which I think is what Commissioner Burns is alluding to, this municipal agency of the unified government and the work that they do. I want to just second everything or third everything that Commissioner Bynum and Commissioner Ramirez has said. When we all meet, there's 11 of us here, there's 6 of you all, 17 people. You throw in our staff, there's just not a lot that can really get done with that many mics. But having a smaller group of people the pilot is one issue, but there are other issues that I think we can regularly start to solve. Y'all have committees and work sessions. We have committees as well. There is real potential for us to get some stuff done and work together. But I do think it is time that work move up to the elected levels, just for the public to be aware of. At the very least, I can speak for Commissioner Davis. I've not been briefed on what the exact conversations has been thus far between BPU and the UG. We do have scheduled meetings with our staff that will take place next week that will give us more information. And so once I have more and know as much as you and as much as your colleagues on the board, I look forward to seeing what more we can do to solve this. The pilot situation is very, very sticky because we are also in need of dollars to balance our budget and to meet the needs of our community and to pay for fire and police and infrastructure and potholes and parks and all those things. And so I do look forward to that conversation though. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Lopez.
Yeah, hey, just wondering, has the BPU worker, the employee versus lineman, water guys, have they received a raise yet?
Yes. There was an agreement, and when you say a raise, yes, that was part of it. There was we had to make the decisions as to what happened with their contract because they could not come to the agreement with they had fact finding and they went through all of that work to try to come to an agreement. They had a vote. They did not accept the contract that was provided, and so we had to determine what those specifics of that contract would be. And yes, they did get a raise.
Is it like what's the percentage? I heard it was
I
gonna
think
be
it's more
like
like
2% or something.
Yeah,
something
2%.
small.
Yeah, like 2%, maybe 0.5% for some who would. I think and I don't know the specifics of all of that. That's something that is public information, but I don't have those at my fingertips right now.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any further comments or questions of the commission?
I want to thank the commission and I know that commission did depend on staff to do a lot of work, but like I said, in spite of the fact that they could not come up with an agreement by April, I don't want us to, and I think that was my whole point of the presentation. I don't want us to stop here. I want us to really try to move forward to bring relief. And like I said, some of these things, we talk about the budget. Yes, we're aware of the budget. And that's something that's been talked about as well. The thing is that there must be a path forward. Whatever it takes to bring relief to our citizens. I think if we move toward that and the people see us or the citizens see us moving toward some effort to bring them relief, I think they would be a little bit more less critical of the time and effort that we put into the work that we do on a daily basis.
I got a question for you and maybe the administrator. I know that in my talks with Administrator Johnston and BPU General Manager Johnson, I know that one of the asks that I had was to work on looking at separating the bill as far as the pilot off the bill, or at least the fees. And I know there was some conversation that had been had. Can you give an update, either you, Mr. Johnson, or are you, Board Member Wakes, on the disposition of that and where we're at?
No, that is where we are. There was a point where they said that they could not meet any longer until they well, our general manager told us that they refused to meet. Then we heard from staff, they said that, well, that wasn't really the case. What the problem was that they needed to come up with some data. And our general manager retorted, well, we have all the data. We just need to move forward with the decision. And that was where things ended. So I love the idea that was brought up by, matter of fact, that was one of the talking points of our meeting on last night. The special committee that met to bring solutions and bring relief to our most vulnerable population. I think they talked about renewing that, and they thought because it would include the elected body, and that would really move things forward quicker than maybe trying to get staff to do things that probably they felt they need to go back and forth, getting permission from Eugene.
Commissioner, Administrator.
I'd just like to respond. I know that our working committee has been working with your working committee. What may be missing out of this picture, we received a real straightforward message from your general manager that the BPU would not entertain us paying a fee for the existing system as is. And then when we asked about, well, then we need for you to continue to serve as the bill collection system, we also received a no. That forced us to then say we need to create our own billing system, and we received no pushback from your agency because you closed the door on your use of your system. And so now we've priced that information. We're going to have these on threes with our commission to get them fully informed on that. We'll show them the communication from General Manager Johnson. If you haven't seen that, I encourage you to get a copy of that. But the door was closed and we don't have a billing system ourselves. So we had to price out what it would take to create our own billing system. And it's more than just software. We have to hire people to do it, like you have people to deal with bill collection. So we're going to be presenting our information. We do encourage our commission to give us further direction. It could be working commissioners with your board members. That's their prerogative. But there is some information that's not totally out there. I'm just going to say that way. And we're going to get everybody on the same page before we go forward. So I encourage you to take that message back to your elected officials and to Mr. Johnson.
Definitely.
And that, and he has all our data too, by the way, and he said he's going to have his staff take a look at it. I don't know if you know how much it costs to have a billing system. There's a number here, but when we worked with your vendors, the costs aren't the $1 million that you list here. So you may have to do some deeper dives into your data. So I'm just saying, you are a municipal utility. You're a kind of a department of our unified government. Don't lose sight of that. But also, we want to do what's best for the citizens. And it's great to hear that you have that same spirit as well.
Yes, sir. And certainly, when we discussed this, it was never, shared with us that there were any no's provided by our general manager to, the UG staff. So if that is the case, then, we need to be aware of that and we need to move because as we stated, when we as the elected body, we represent the people. And staff or people that we hire are supposed to follow the directions of those who are elected by the people to do what we ask. And when they fail to do that, then they should not be, they're not worthy of that office. So my concern is that if there were no's stated that we were not aware of, then we need to be aware of those and know how to deal with those no's. And we'll definitely take those back to our elected body and certainly have that discussion.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Administrator. Commissioner King.
Mr. Wake, sir, thanks for your passionate presentation. And you know, when we met the last time, there was conversation about having a walk-in at 7th and 82nd Street. We pay our bills. Mr. Johnson's, it was an adamant no. And I've dealt with management for a long time, and I think what the ladies have done in the past and with some of your board members, I think we can come up with a better solution than saying he said, she said, because we are the elected body. We have to respond to our constituents, and Mr. Johnson and Mr. Johnston, you know, we take them out of this box and put our folks in it, and I think we'll be successful.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Reverend Wakes, for your presentation on this evening. And one thing I definitely look forward to is the two organizations actually meeting and moving forward. I've been an advocate for change way before being on the commission. So thank you for your presentation.
And thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Davis.
Thank you. Now, I'll just say this, Ms. Ricks, again, thank you so much. This is such a helpful conversation. It's obvious that there were some things that were said publicly that were not completely accurate about the conversations that were happening between our staff. I think one of the things I would ask just for all of us that we be mindful that we are all working together. You all are our municipal agency, you're our daughter agency, we are the parent. Government is just not helpful. There are some comments that have been made publicly about UG staff that have been made publicly about Mr. Johnston. And I think we are finding out that some of those comments that were made, you did not make them, but some of those comments that were made were just not accurate. And so I think it's super important that before we get on the microphone that we work together. No one benefits when we in the same family. Nobody benefits when the family feuds. And so it's just very, very important the words that we use when we talk about our daughter agency and when the daughter agency talks about the parent company. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd just like to add, just listen to everybody. I think the goal is the same. Just listening to you, hearing from other board members is that the call to action that I've advocated for, not just to the commission, but also to board members, is we have to find relief to the burdensome fees that have really put a strain on hardworking families, seniors on fixed incomes, and those that are just struggling to make it from day to day. And I believe what I'm hearing from you tonight is that something we all agree on. And meetings have been had to try to find the best way, if we can, to remove some of the burdensome fees off the BPU bill. Not really sure about the legalities of state law that may be involved in the pilot. But at the end of the day, this commission right here controls the pilot. And one thing that I've noticed is if you all so choose as a board, which is in your purview at BPU to raise rates, doesn't mean the unified government has to accept the pilot increases that may come with that. We could hold the line and add relief to the residents that are forced to pay a tax that has nothing to do with their water or utility services on their BPU bill. And so that is something that I've continued to advocate to this commission, is that we cannot continue to tax, spend, borrow, and deplete our reserve funds on the backs of our hardworking residents here in Wyandotte County. They've told me they've had enough. Thank you. You've talked about the separations of the bills and things of that nature. But I think the bottom line is a unified government owns BPU. And I think that there's a lot of work that could be done from this body right here. And I'm willing to work just as hard as anybody else to bring about the type of relief that our residents want. At least get as close to relief as we can. And I'm not here proposing any huge tax decreases, but I think there is an opportunity for this unified government to tighten its belt, to streamline, look at more efficiencies, and quit raising taxes and fees on these hardworking residents here. And I'm going to continue to advocate and willing to work and collaborate with our community, BPU, as well as the commission, to find responsible and real ways to bring real relief to our residents. And I am confident it can be done. And that's pretty much where I'm at on that conversation. I just want to let the community know that I stand with you. One thing that I haven't heard in this conversation, and that I want us all to be reminded of, I keep hearing that we need to have meetings with elected officials. We need to have meetings with board members, staff. But what I'm not hearing is who's listening to the people. When do we put community first above bureaucrats, above the needs of these, any employees, above the needs of elected officials, above the needs of what we think we want? And when do we say we're going to listen to our residents and say, if they say enough is enough, we need to say enough is enough, and we need to get the job done for Wyandotte County. Thank you. Commissioner Davis.
I just wanted to add very, very quickly, not to belabor this, but I think the pilot conversation is just one conversation that we can have. There are other conversations that I think we probably should explore to provide savings to the ratepayers and to the taxpayer. There are some duplicative services that are being provided between the UG and the BPU. I'm just thinking of, right, you all provide water, we provide, right, wastewater, right? Are there some ways for us to save money and pass it on to the ratepayers, pass it on to the taxpayers, so that we are not duplicating those services? So I hope the conversation absolutely addresses that pilot question, but doesn't just stop there. What else could we do to return value? Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll end with this. I'll just say, I believe the conversations are good, communication is good, collaboration is good. I've been hearing that since I was on the police department. It's time to quit kicking the can down the road and get the job done and reduce these taxes and fees for our residents. Talk is cheap, action is real. And we can pray all day, and I appreciate your prayer, Pastor, but faith without works is dead. We need to get something done for our residents. Yes, thank you.
So when I go back to the board, they will want to know, did you want to proceed further by utilization of the committee? Or did you want to try to?
I'll have my staff, my chief of staff get with you and facilitate that with administration. We'll get the quarterly meetings at the request of the boards back together. And Commissioner Bynum did volunteer to work on pilot separation. Thank you. I appreciate that, as well as Commissioner Hill. They were involved in that last year. It did bring about some level of relief. You may not have liked how it got there, but nevertheless, it's released. And our clerk gave an awesome presentation on the amount of money that has been given out to those individuals that have taken that opportunity to use some of those funds that were dedicated to relief. And before we go any further, Ms. Sparks, would you like to at least advise the public on the type of funds that are available that provide relief, and then how much has been dwelled out so far?
Certainly. This year, we had our utility sales rebate program that was 100% funded by the UG. Our total applications that we received was 1,345 from individuals that qualified. The total rebate for our utility program, both utility and sales tax dollars refunded back to citizens, $464,034. Property tax rebates were $429,006 for a total rebate back to our citizens of $893,000. That does not include the amount that will be refunded on their bill for pilot relief or the reduction in the water and utility that everyone that qualified for utility will also receive.
Thank you, Clerk. Now, I say that to say in recognition of the commissioners that have worked. It may not be to the level that we like, but we have started moving in a direction that can be relieved. This is really geared towards those most in need in our community, our lowest income residents. And for those of you that don't know about these rebate programs, you can get with the clerk's office. She can give you all the information you need. And I do encourage any individual that feels that they qualify to please apply for some of these benefits that may be helpful to lessen the burden on some of the taxes and fees that you experience. Commissioner Stites.
Stites, District 7. Mayor, I just had a quick question as to what's your expectation as to when you would think that the two heads or the committees will meet? Because I don't want to be here again in another year and we're looking at this same presentation saying that we haven't done a thing. And do you have an expectation?
Yeah, my staff is going to move quick. I'll get my staff and I'll take the lead on it as well. And we'll get something to you all and get it scheduled in really short order. It's really about the availability of all the people we want involved. And so that would be the only delay in getting something quicker than that.
Well, I kind of hesitated on whether I was going to say anything or not, but you know, at the end of the day, what's important is that we get this relief that's much needed to the right people that's out there. You know, we got fat on the BPU pilot when it went in 2008 up to whatever it is right now, 11.9, and we've never backed it off. And there was a promise that it would get backed off by previous administration, and we've got used to that money. And it's time to get it cut back where it's in reason to where people can afford it. You know, I think that it's important that, you know, hey, we do own BPU, right? And if we've got people that aren't willing or don't want to talk, and Commissioner, or you got Mayor, you got me saying it now, Administrator Johnston, people that come back and say no to us, well, we got to remind them of who they work for. And that it's us. And we can't accept no. And we've got to remind them of that. And maybe if there was those questions, maybe there should have been some upper management of BPU here tonight to answer those questions. But I appreciate the presentation tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Williams.
Mayor.
Appreciate your time. Thank you so much. That takes us to our second item, which is a proclamation. Clerk, can you read that in abbreviated form?
Proclamation. Now therefore, I, Tyrone Garner, Mayor CEO, the Unified Government of Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas, do hereby proclaim May 10, 2024 as Provider Appreciation Day in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Kansas.
Thank you. That takes us to our third item, which is open mic, community input. I know some of you are anxious to get involved in that. It is the last item on the mayor's agenda. It's a public forum allowing citizens to express concerns and present solutions relating solely and specifically to unified government's interests and span of control. Please make sure that there are no derogatory remarks. I think I said at the beginning, abusive comments, inappropriate statements or motives. Make sure that there's no disorderly conduct. Make sure that we honor professional decorum, and make sure that you do not go over the 3 minutes that you will be allotted. I will now open the public comment. Clerk, do you want to manage that for me?
Thank you. Our first speaker tonight will be Patrick McGuire. Sophia Charles will be on deck. If you'll come to the podium, state your name and residence, you'll have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Patrick McGuire. My address is 3308 Wood Avenue, Kansas City, Kansas, 66102. I wanted to talk about the food trucks. So I've lived here for 2 years and, you know, I have a fear of stray bullets hitting my house because that's a common thing that I hear on a weekly basis. I have a fear of kids walking to the middle school without sidewalks and being hit by a car. I don't have any fear of visiting a taco truck after 8 p.m. and being in any danger. I don't think it's reasonable or fair or wise to force these hardworking people to close their businesses at 8 o'clock prematurely. And I think we have an opportunity here instead of a detriment, and that's to celebrate diversity, celebrate awesome food. You know, when people move to Kansas City, I tell them come to 18th and Central and have the food. Come to the food trucks, and this is just something that we should be supporting. And if we need more infrastructure, if we need more parking, if we need more security, we need to bolster that instead of penalizing hardworking people. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sophia Charles. Joyce Jones on deck.
Good evening. My name is Sophia Charles and I came from Portland, Oregon. I left here. I've been here all my life. I see my ancestors try to build up this place. And every time I come down here, it's different. I'm trying to open up my own adult daycare, Olivia's Heart of Hope. And it's surrounding our elderly people. And the Burn Center is the perfect place to do it. But it's in a shambles. And I was just wondering if we can find some funding to build it up or do what we have to do. Like I said, our ancestors worked their butt off for us. And I know that they're probably looking at us like we don't care anymore. So with that being said, thank you for listening.
Our next speaker is Joyce Jones. Karen Daniels on deck.
Good evening. I have to talk fast because
Ma'am, can we get your name?
my
and
name
residence?
is Joyce Jones. I'm a resident here in Wyandotte County. I live at 4927 Greeley Avenue. And my problem is I'm a homeowner and taxpayer in Wyandotte County. I am not being respected when it comes to equal justice concerning what code enforcement is allowed to do. I am being discriminated and intimidated when I ask for assistance to protect my rights as a homeowner. My former neighbor complained about a retaining wall about 5 feet, 6 to 6 feet tall and about 100 feet long that needed repair or stabilized. Code enforcement mailed me a notice of violation to repair the wall after I was to get a permit within 30 days. The neighbor that complained had his property surveyed and found out the wall was on his property. Through favoritism and no inspection nor permit, the owner was allowed to remove the wall, my chain link fence along the top of the wall, and some of my land to grade the land into a sloped hill. My land was placed at the base of the hill to prevent erosion and keep the land stable. When I contacted code enforcement and asked why he didn't have to repair the wall, the response was they have a right to change their mind. I received a letter from the legal department stating such. The current owner removed the land with a bobcat without a permit because he didn't want the hill on his property, which created a cliff at the edge of my yard. My neighbor relocated the land. He removed and placed it at the back of his property and erected an above ground garden. A friend went with me on Wednesday to building inspections and had the lady at the desk to check and see if any permits were issued. None were issued at that address. It was a violation of building codes because it created my land to become unstable and unsafe. My land is being washed away every time it rains. It is steady being washed downhill until
1
my
minute
neighbor's
remaining.
yard because of the erosion he created. When I contacted code enforcement, Shelby Johnson came out with a woman from another department to inspect. Mr. Johnson also told my neighbor that eventually my house will be washed onto his yard. I spoke with Patrick Holton and he told me to plant grass seed. You can't plant grass seed on a cliff. I also spoke with Mr. Holton's supervisor, but no one wants to do their job. When I last spoke with Shelby Johnson, he told me if he had to reopen the case, I would be issued citations because of the condition of my land. I asked Mr. Johnson, did the neighbor violate codes when he disturbed the land? And was told yes, but his department doesn't handle that. My taxpayer dollars are paying the salaries of the people who are ignoring me and allowing me to be victimized and
Your
threatened
time has
with
expired.
retaliation if I continue to complain. I tried to follow the chain of command, but no one seems to care. When I contacted the governor's office, I was directed back to the mayor's office. When I contacted the mayor's office, I was given the number to the legal department who represents the city. Who holds people other than the victims accountable?
Ma'am, your time has expired.
I haven't spoke 3 minutes, but I
Yes,
will
ma'am.
sit down, but
Thank you.
I am a senior citizen. I need some help. Every time it rains, my land is washing away.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Karen Daniels. Kim Weaver on deck.
Hello, Commissioners, Mayor. My name's Karen Daniels. I live on 7th in Nebraska, Kansas City, Kansas. As most of you know, my uncle was Chief Boston Daniels, and he once said, if you do good works, one day you will receive your rewards. I'm happy to say that his hard work is being recognized, and his park is going to receive improvements soon on 8th and Quindaro Boulevard. But Commissioners, with that being said, we want more. We want more sustainable development in the Northeast area. My family has lived in this area for 6 generations. From my great-grandparents to my grandchildren, we have invested heavily in this area. So based on the UG's detailed survey, Plan KC, it confirmed what we have always said. The Northeast needs funding and it needs development. It's my community's understanding that the area east of 635 would receive development from the Legends in exchange for tax breaks and bonds. Where are the improvements that they promised? We shouldn't have to leave our neighborhood in order to go buy groceries or clothes, basic needs. Commissioners, we want more. I'm asking that you set up a meeting with developers from the Legends. We'd like us stakeholders for the Northeast area would like to collaborate with them on how we can bring sustainability to the Northeast. We want more. Thank you.
Is Kim Weaver in the room? It's my understanding she has left. Our next speaker is David Adams. Sarah Flores on deck.
Hello, my name is David Adams. I live at 2502 North 110th Street, Kansas City, Kansas, 66109. My question pertains to a water easement, stormwater pool that exists at the subdivision that I live in, just called the Meadows. And I attended a HOA meeting Monday of this week, and they told us that the stormwater pool would need to be kept up and maintained by the residents of the of the subdivision. And it was under my understanding that the municipality, the UG would be responsible for an easement that was being utilized for the minimal minimal flood zone that we live in. It exists out there at the Hutton Road area. I think the Piper Plaza is part of that area, and so is the area, the plaza at the Speedway, Target, and some other things. The UG storm drains feed into the pond, and I think it's being utilized by the UG for the secondary water retention pool. And I think we're already paying for stormwater, and I just assume that the UG would be handling any cost that the pond needed. But the HOA said we would have to do all the maintenance and possibly be fined if the dam or anything needs done, and we refuse to do so. So basically, I was just trying to figure out who is responsible for it. If the HOA is telling us the truth, or is there another storyline behind it as well? That's pretty much my question. And maybe Mr. Kane can give me an idea of
1 minute remaining.
of what I could do. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Our next speaker is Sarah Flores, Shalane Bradford on deck.
Hi, good evening. My name is Sarah Flores, and I'm speaking on behalf of Antojitos Tia Maris. We're here with the food trucks, and we're just pleading again for more time. This last month, our revenue was really bad because of the short hours. We're, like we said, this is our livelihood. This is what brings our income, and we're barely making it. A lot of people don't get out till like later after 7 or 8. And that's when all our business is in. We're just pleading for more time. We're not harming anybody. And that's what we're just like. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Shalane Bradford, Al Bradford on deck. Do we have Shalane Bradford in the room?
That's my wife. She says she don't want to speak.
Okay.
I want to thank everybody, the panel, everybody, and what they're doing on their work, because
Sir,
it
could you
is
give your name?
difficult. Al Bradford,
Thank you.
2633 Oak Avenue, Kansas City, Kansas. I understand it is extremely difficult to please everybody in the community and what you're doing, so I can't judge what you're doing. I'd just like to encourage everybody to try to make a better connection with the public. Pastor Wakes did a marvelous job, because I have been working at trying to understand that BPU bill for 4 years. And no one ever gave me an understanding, never even mentioned the UG when I went down to BPU to go through that. So to keep moving here, I just ask that we find a good way to stay in contact with the procedures of what this council is doing and what the city's doing, so that we can be updated. Even on the internet, when we look at it, it's annoying to me sometimes because it's not clear when you look at the videos. But the encouragement that I have, I work hard at keeping my area, the community, clean. That means I cut the grass of the cities where they don't cut their grass, or they don't do it often enough. I cut down the trees. I do whatever I can in my spot, because maybe it's helpful, but I like to buy even more property around where I'm at, but I'm being told that if I don't promise to build on that property, they can't sell to me. Well, the city's not making a promise to keep the property. So it gets me caught in it, because I don't want one yard looking good and another yard, which is a city's tall, but then the city will go around and put notices on people's property that if you don't cut it, they're going to be charged. Just need the help. I'd like to stay in Kansas City. I would even like to work. I appreciate Mayor Gardner as well. We've communicated at times, but as the people, even on the electrical bill, I don't know how you're going to answer the questions. It's just ask that you don't push us in the back and forget that we're out here. Because I checked into an apartment for 2 days to check my electrical bill out, turned my electrical
1 minute
off.
remaining.
turn my electrical off and my water off, I have to charge $5 a day for that cost, which is $130 a month, plus the pilot charge, which I was told 2 years ago, it runs from 11 to 14. So if I add that on there, if I don't use an ounce of electric or water, I have to pay a bill of $160 some for no use. So I'm encouraging to find a way to help us so that we can even make our communities look better, feel better, because the people are the ones who's in the community. And if we understand, I understood some things I heard tonight. If I understood it, then it doesn't hurt to pay it, but to pay for something you don't understand is difficult. I just ask the council, please don't forget us, and thank you for the time.
Our next speaker is Morris Campbell. Mark DePriest on deck. Morris Campbell. Mr. Campbell in the room. Okay. Mark Dupree. Mr. Dupree in the room. Major Brooks. You're up. Alma Heil will be on deck.
I'm Major Brooks of Edwardsville, Kansas, 407 South 110th Street. Mr. Stipe is my commissioner. I would like to congratulate all of you for the job that you're doing and continue to work towards the helping of the people. So we need each other to continue this job that Wyandotte County, we need quite a bit to advance us because all the old folks is dying off, properties is dilapidated, so on and so forth. Got a lot of homeless everywhere. So that we the people stand to give you what you need to get the job done. So if you're raising taxes, we need to be aware of all of that and explaining it. Everybody's on the internet. So if you can advance to the internet a little bit more so that we can be advised on what and where and when. So I appreciate you more now that I come to make phone calls. I will call and inquire about information. So if that information is gathered in the right frame of mind, I will accept it. Other than that, we will fight. I've called the governor, talk to my aide. Governor will not talk to you. You got to talk to the aide. Then the aide talks to the governor. And then the governor tells the aide what to tell you. So I love to talk and I enjoy that you guys are taking this time out to give us a voice. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Alma Heil. Alma Heil, Eric Anderson on deck.
Hi, it's Alma Hall. Good evening, elected officials and UG leadership. My name is Dr. Alma Rosas Hall. I have lived in Kansas City, Kansas for about 30 years. As a member of this community, I have silently been advocating for our immigrant community. Due to some community concerns, I have been getting out of my comfort zone and using my voice to advocate for those with limited access or voices. I'm a proud Mexican immigrant raised in Texas, and fortunately and unfortunately, keeping my promise of those laboradores, I worked in the fields when I was young, to help others without expectations. I know how hard it is to earn a living in this country. This is my reason for all elected officials and county leadership to become fiscally responsible for the reckless spending, increased taxes, and most importantly, to ensure that all leaderships hold each other accountable with transparency and fiscal responsibility. For the past several months, I have attended BPU and UG meetings. During those meetings, the two major organizations of this county refuse to collaborate and improve our community. Each organization is taking not hundreds, but millions from us, the taxpayers. Our community elected you to advocate and keep us from going bankrupt, not to increase taxes, create programs that will take additional money from us and keep us in the dark about the total amount that each organization is taking from us, from our community. My question and request is not for me only, but for the concerns of our future dots. In the name of progress, I request that both our city and county organizations provide the community with a total tax expense that we have to pay. This request should include the expected and unexpected cost
1
of a
minute
long
remaining.
living term debt to our community. This means that every time I go to a meeting, there's not a little bit of money, but a millions of taxes that we're being asked as a community member, as a taxpayer. It is very difficult when you go in and advocate for other immigrants, not just the Mexicans, not the Spanish speakers, but also the Hmong, the Somalis, the Sahelis. And we're consistently asking why our we're going up. Where is the money going? So we're asking transparency. We're asking for where is all this total money? We want the total from BPU, unified government, and other organizations. Also, organizations that are receiving support to support our community. We want to have some accountability. We want to see receipts. Where is this money going? And how is this money that organizations are receiving, where and how, the total amount? This is our taxpayers.
Your time has expired.
We elected you to represent us and take care of us, not to spend recklessly and increase our taxes. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Eric Anderson, Willie Brantley Jr. on deck.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Anderson. I'm a resident here of Wyandotte County on 334 North 14th Street, just a few blocks over from this place. I have been living here in Kansas City for about almost 7 years now. Second longest place I've ever lived at. I've lived all across the country. I'm a small business owner. I've done a lot of different adventures and chapters within my life. And I know I've personally experienced being a small business owner, going the wrong way of the end of code and stuff, and realizing, okay, let's go through and properly fix it. It's not necessarily a straightforward process at all, unfortunately. And I'm here because I want to try and do everything I can to help all the food truck owners be able to actually go through the process in a way that allows them to operate successfully, have the hours of operation they need, but also more than just hours of operation. I would love to see a way where there can be a like city program to create actual places where they can be at for the long term. So like I would love to propose an idea of making the area on 18th and Central, where there's a lot of the food trucks right now, making that the first mobile food truck plaza within within Wyandotte County. We can use section 27 of the ordinance codes to help make that happen. And we can also we can use one area as a pilot of having that being the mobile food truck plaza, where food trucks with the proper ordinances, licenses, paying taxes to the city government, they can have unlimited hours there. And then across the street, that lot can be used as the cross comparison pilot of being the privately owned lot, still has the option for hours, so long as they're properly licensed.
1
health
minute
code,
remaining.
all that good stuff. The biggest thing is that people in KCK are working class people, work across the clock, all over the place. Anything toward allowing them to have good quality, affordable food from hardworking other people, hell yeah. Let's make it so they can have community, good food, and at the hours that they work to help support this entire city and function It's more than just the Wyandotte County area. It's the entire KC Metro. KCK helps keep alive. Let's make it so that we can have food.
Our next speaker is Willie Brantley Jr., Sarah Lynch on deck.
Good evening. My name is Willie Brantley Jr. I live at 224 South Tremont Street, Kansas City, Kansas. I'd like to commend Pastor Wake for a fine presentation and to commend him on articulating our concerns as it relates to the pilot. I have a question or putting in a request. I am currently developing a commercial property here in Kansas City, Kansas, right, 13th and Walker, 13th and Walker, yeah. So anyway, one of my concerns is in developing this property. I was wanting to get information about tax abatement when a community member invest in their property. What does the unified government have for its tax abatements for that? And if you can reach out to me later would be great. And that's pretty much the end of my statement. Right? Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sarah Lynch, Leonardo Nola Vasquez on deck.
Good evening, Commissioners. Tonight, I would like to present to you.
Your name, please.
Oh, of course. Sarah Lynch, member of Wyandotte, resident of Wyandotte. Tonight, I would like to present to you a potential solution to our food truck ordinance issue that we have going on. I'd like to direct your attention to this map of 18th and Central. Oh, there we go. Here. I'd like to direct your attention to this map of 18th and Central. It's in this area that we've developed a collective of mobile food vendors that serve our residents day and night on a regular basis. This area is also unique because it's not a parcel of land, but it's a road that has been dead-ended that creates this parking lot and that creates this unique area where it seems ideal for food trucks to be able to park and serve the community. What I strongly urge you as the commission to do is to designate this area to be a pilot program for a mobile food truck plaza. Now there's two different areas here. This is public property and here. And this over here is a private property where there's also a food truck. You could have a public food plaza and a private food plaza and see how that turns out. In this way, you would protect these food vendors from being displaced in the event that, say, someone with a restaurant business or a food business were to move into one of these buildings and via the 100-foot rule, which we do not agree with, by the way, they would be forced out and displaced. That would cause the residents to have to go on a treasure hunt to relocate to find their favorite vendors, and it would potentially cause hardship on the small businesses that make Wyandotte Wyandotte.
1 minute remaining.
Potentially create homeless people from them being fired. I would strongly urge you to work with zoning and planning. Gunnar Hand seems particularly knowledgeable in the ordinances of chapter 27, chapter 32, and the language that could be used to craft such an ordinance section to be able to make this possible. I also strongly encourage you to reach out to us, Community Conscience Action Network. We don't work in conjunction with other organizations as of the moment in regards to this issue, but we do definitely do our best to advocate for the rights of these food vendors at this time. Best number to reach us at is 913-605-5570. Thank you and have a great night.
Our next speaker is Leonardo Nola Vasquez, Francisco Valencia on deck.
Hello, my name is Leonardo Nolasquez. I own a taco truck at Taqueria Hernandez. Okay, now you guys on the past meeting, I saw that you guys talk about millions and millions of dollars, right? Okay, I got facts, like you say. Okay, I'm gonna talk about the taxes that we paid just for this past year. We paid $48,000 on just one taco truck. Now, the data that I'm about to give you is just for that certain corner, 9 taco trucks. 9 taco trucks, if we put $48,000 times 9, that's gonna be $432,000 on taxes, all right? Taxes, those taxes goes to, you guys were, a few minutes ago, were telling about that you guys don't have enough money to do some of the stuff, but why you just don't support small businesses that will give you the money for your bigger businesses? That, you see what I'm trying to say? Okay, so it's $432,000 that support schools. They pay for your checks, police, fire departments, and I can keep going and on and on. Imagine the entire county, if $432,000 in taxes was paid by those 9 taco trucks. Imagine what can do more taco trucks. Instead of taking them away, why you just don't try to work with them? I think that's the clue for, instead of borrowing money and go bankruptcy, why we just don't support what we already have to create something bigger. That's my thing. And food trucks are not bad. Like all around the country, small businesses, let's say, they pay taxes. And on top of that,
1 minute remaining.
and on top of that, they pay their licenses. They pay the fire department, food handlers card, health department. It's all kinds of payments. Plus, remember, just 9 trucks make $432,000. Just to keep in mind. I'll just let you think about it.
Our next speaker is Francisco Valencia, Jose Flores on deck.
Hello, my name is Francisco Valencia, Wyandotte County. Me and my wife, we own a food truck on 18 and Central. Mayor, welcome back. Bills, welcome back. Nice to see you here again. The reason we're here is because we've been running a food truck since 2022. You know, before we start our business, we make sure we have all the licenses, we LLC, liability. We pay everything before we start. You know, and some of the news says the food trucks in 18 and Central operating without license. That's not true. I got it proof. I've been paying my taxes since the day we start our business. We've been paying our taxes. They're also saying that the street is dirty. It's not. We take our time. After we're done by the end of the night, we clean because the customers, they're not gonna clean. We take care of the streets. In winter time, the city, they don't clean that, especially that corner, the one Sarah says. I clean that myself. I bring my machine, I remove the snow, I put salt on it. We clean out the streets because we care. They say we dump oil in the sewers. This is false. We don't do that. I got to prove. There is one person out there, they do that. I'm gonna say something because I care. You know, we started our business in Wyandotte County last year on May, and we want to stay here. We don't want to go nowhere. We like the city. We just buy a property over in 1411 Orville. The property has been abandoned for 7 years. My wife just bought it. We're gonna bring it back to life because we're gonna be here. We're gonna open a restaurant pretty soon. Okay, we wanna be here. I want my kids to grow up in here. I wanna be here. So we need you guys' permission to keep working. There's a customer, he come to my food truck 3 or 4 times a week. I know him by name.
1 minute
I know
remaining.
his wife, I know his kids. And then he's here because he worked late night. You know, he been calling me, where you at, where you at? Say, we cannot work, we cannot work. So he's here. Jason, you want to say something?
My main question is, when was the restriction?
Can you please state your name?
Yes, sir. My name is Jason Wright. I live here in Wyandotte County, and my question is when was the restriction for the hours put into place? Was it during a COVID time? And if so, could that be lifted due to the fact that we're not under COVID restrictions anymore? The other question is why are the food trucks required to close so early when other businesses can stay open late and serve food late, such as bars can stay open until 2 a.m. and such as breakfast establishments can be open 24 hours a day. Those are just a couple questions that I had that I wanted to be answered.
Thank you. That's pretty much all I have. We need you guys' help. As the mayor says, you guys listen and working with the community, please listen. Our family depends on this. You know, we work
Your
so
time has
hard to
expired.
put all this together, and this is what we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
The next speaker is Jose Flores. Irma Morlata on deck.
Hola, mi nombre es José Flores, soy dueño de Taquería Hernández. I don't speak English very well, help me.
Okay, he said his name is Jose Flores. He's the owner of Taquería Hernández.
Como dijo mi hijo, pues las horas que nos han cambiado nos han afectado a nuestras familias, a las familias de las personas que nos ayudan. Pues queremos que esto se componga porque el taco de nosotros es una cultura hispana.
Okay, basically he's telling,
I think excuse me, I think it would be helpful if you come to the mic. Most people speak English and just let him speak to you and then you translate.
yeah,
That would be
ma'am.
great. Thank you.
Okay, basically he's saying that it's been affecting not just our family, it's affecting the families that we hire. Since we have five families working for us, we had to let it go 3 because of the time. So those 3 families are gonna be suffering of not a job, homeless. They're not gonna have enough money to pay for the bills. So that's the impact of a small business. Only one food truck hired five employees.
Solo queremos trabajar.
He just wanna ask you guys to let us work, because basically you're losing too, taxes.
Que Dios los bendiga.
And thank you, and God, we put everything on God, basically. Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Irma Morlata. Martha Diaz on deck.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Marta Díaz. Vengo representando a la traila de Tacos Primos. Yo vengo a hablarles sobre.
Okay, basically she said her name and the food truck that she
You
owns.
would have to pull the mic close to you again, just like last time.
Basically, she say the name of her food truck and ¿qué más?
Vengo a hablar sobre los.
Habla de mí.
Oh, perdón.
Habla de mí, yo ya hablo.
La cantidad que se genera. en los trailers.
Basically, I want to talk about the money that we made on the food trucks. Again, another person paying $43,000 just on taxes, state taxes. Basically, she had the numbers to 9 taco trucks on that corner. So that's gonna make around 300 and $344,000. That's basically money that is used for parks, schools, and etc. That's one of the 9 taco trucks that made the money just for that corner on 18 in Central. She just want you guys to keep that in mind again. So to see how important are small businesses. Thank you. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Martha Diaz. Byron Juarez on deck.
Hello, my name is Byron Juarez, and this is my mother, Lisa Juarez. We own one of the food trucks on 18th and Central. And we just want to urge you guys to please support us. We've invested a lot of money into our food trucks. The prices of these food trucks range from 30,000 to 50,000. And most of us don't own our food trucks. We're still financing them or paying rent on them. And so ever since these hours started getting enforced, we've been losing a lot of money. We have not been making any money, and we got our family to support. The same thing with everybody else. A lot of people have been getting, like, they've had to let a lot of people go. It's just the cost of operation is really high. And the other day, we were there from 3 o'clock till 7, like per the guideline. And we did not have a single cell from 3 till 6. And we only got maybe like 1 or 2 cells at 7. That's when everybody after work started pulling up to buy from us, and we had to, to not, break any rules, close down. And we were really sad. We were really sad that we saw we could have made money, but we didn't make any money. And we ended up losing money because of the gas of the generator, just the cost of operation. And my mom had some words she wanted to say too.
Hola, buenas noches. Mi nombre es Lizeth Juárez.
My mom was Lisa Juarez.
Quiero pedirles por favor que nos apoyen con el horario.
She wants to urge you guys if you guys can please support us with the hours.
Yo tengo 5 hijos y me siento muy orgullosa de lo que hago, de mi trabajo. Tenemos una food truck que se llama La Casa del Hot Dogs.
I have 5 children, and I'm really proud of what I do. Our business, La Casa del Hot Dog.
Es un negocio familiar.
It's a family business.
Y gracias a Dios y a este negocio,
And thanks to God, and because of business,
mi hijo se graduó de la universidad con honores.
she was able to support me while I was finishing my undergrad at Park.
Mi otro hijo está ya en la universidad.
My other brother is also studying.
Y a mi otro hijo le falta 1 año para ir a la universidad.
And my other brother has a year left to start before he starts college.
Mucha gente mira como poca cosa una food truck,
A lot of people look down on food trucks,
pero somos personas que pagamos taxes y tenemos todos nuestros permisos.
but we're honest people that pay taxes and have all of our permits.
Y lo que estamos haciendo, tratando de sacar a nuestras familias adelante y crear hijos buenos y que sean hombres de bien.
And we're trying to do the best that we can to just keep going in life.
Por favor, apóyennos.
Please support us.
Muchas familias dependemos de estos negocios.
A lot of families depend on this.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Louise Lynch. Jacqueline Ramos on deck.
Louise Lynch, Kansas City, Kansas.
just want to reiterate from the group from 18th and Central Food Trucks, how hard they work, how their community really does depend on them. When they have to close at night, the people who come up to them, beg them to stay open, tell them they won't tell if they sell them a taco, a hot dog, a drink, something. They get very upset that they have to leave. They don't understand. To give them a time period of how much they can work, whether it's 4 hours or 8 hours, doesn't do them justice. They don't have flowing traffic continually during that time. They rely a lot on various times. The nighttime seems to be the most profitable for them. They cover the shifts where people come home from work out of the 11 o'clock shift and they don't want to cook, so they stop by there and they pick up dinner for home. People who are out in the nightlife after the bars and the dance halls close, they go to them for their munchies before they go home. So they do serve an integral part of this community. They'd like to really have that done at the plaza. They want to be a permanent staple there and have security that they won't have to relocate and lose their clientele. And so that's all I wanted to say about that. But I want to talk about, I watched the session that you all had between 4 and 6 o'clock. And I want to address most of my comments to the administrator, Mr. Johnston. I was glad to hear you say that you want to see more accountability from your staff, from the commission, because that's not what your past year has reviewed. You have allowed staff to humiliate your residents. We have gone to you, and from the week 1, I went to you on housing issues.
1
To
minute
date, you have
remaining.
never asked me the information in regards and how to help that, which let me know even a year later, you had no intention of doing that. You allowed your staff to racially discriminate against us on Facebook and on YouTube. You allowed Mr. Fisher to terrorize our community repeatedly. You chose to do nothing. Now he gets to leave and resign. And from the time he resigns to the time May 10th, we are going to pay him over $9,000 for a paid vacation out of our tax dollars. That's not accountability. That's not you being transparent. When we address these issues to you, you choose to ignore them. You choose to ignore many people, and then you stay silent. You tell us, because we can't even speak to you directly, when we get you in the hallway to ask you, you don't want to speak to us in time. You have just 5 seconds or 5 minutes.
Your time has
These are
expired.
serious issues, and you need to be held accountable. If I were to choose whether you should be terminated or
Ma'am, your
not,
time has expired.
thank you. I would say for you to not have your contract renewed. You have not done this justice. Thank you.
The next speaker is Jacqueline Ramos. Carolyn Wyatt on deck.
Hello, my name is Jacqueline Ramos. I'm a Wyandotte County resident. I'm here to represent Taqueretaleguas in 1706 Central Avenue. I'm the daughter of my parents who are the owners of this restaurant. I'm here just to, I don't want the trailers to leave, but I do seem it unfair. We've been open for 18+ years. We have 2 businesses, which is Tienda Charras y Teleguas. We've always been with the community. We're the ones who help with the parades, have the horses in the parades. For me, it seems unfair that there's 11+ trailers in a corner where we have been there for, again, 15, 18 years. Our business has gone down since the food trucks. And I mean, it's also family run. I see it as unfair that there's 11. I'm hearing a lot of wanting to open later hours. If that's the case, then I would say, why don't they open late hours? Because we open from 10 to 9, and then from 9, we all go home. So if they want to, stay later, if they can open later too, just leave the morning shift for us, or I don't know what can be done, because ever since they have been closing early, we have been getting people at night. But yet again, since we close at 9, we have to close at 9. So there's people trying to come in because there's no more food trucks. So as I'm sitting down and viewing, everyone wants more hours. I would say to switch the hours, maybe have them open late and have us, I don't know, in the morning. because it has been affecting our business ever since they opened. I mean, it's 11 plus food trucks in a corner of a restaurant that's been there for 15 years. And I get it. We all pay taxes. We're all trying to make money. That's how the world is. We pay rent. Again, I had just finished college. I just graduated with my bachelor's degree because of our restaurant. My sister currently is in college and our other siblings are gonna go to college. We have our cousin who's worked there who's also going to college now. And we've all been living off of our restaurant. But it's just frustrating for me who has been there since the opening for 13 years. I've worked there since I was 12.
1 minute
and
remaining.
Seeing how we're struggling more now than how we were struggling in the beginning of our restaurant. So I'm just saying for maybe a resolution would be for them to open late, but start opening late to open late, if that makes any sense, and have us have the morning or something like that. Because again, we close at 9 and we just shut our doors. People can't come in because we're all trying to go home. So if that might be a resolution, then that's what I would say. Again, I don't want to kick them all out of the corner. I'm just saying it is kind of unfair for us who have been there for 15 plus years to have 11 food trucks in the corner. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Carolyn Wyatt. Thomas Barnes on deck.
Good evening. My name is Carolyn Wyatt. I live at 359 Troop. I just want to say that I know we're trying to do a lot of building around it. Well, the whole Wyandotte County, that's what we want, development. But we don't have a sufficient economic department. I don't know if we have one person in there, but that's not sufficient for the unified government. We should have a department with economic development in there so that we can actually do the building that we need to do in Kansas City, Kansas, Wyandotte County. Because all of the building that is supposed to be built in Wyandotte County, the money's supposed to come east of 635. I don't know if you all remember that, the money that's the businesses that are supposed to get build, all that money's supposed to come east of 635. So we want to know, like, when is that going to happen? You know, so everybody held accountable for that. Also, we know that our county administrator, he doesn't do a lot of talking, but he's responsible for economic development. If people need to be hired, wherever they need to be hired, that they should be working on that and get those departments working. And also, staff shouldn't be running anything. It should be up to the mayor, county administrator, the commissioners. And also, we know that our streets are in bad condition. Go down Fifth Street to 630 to I-70, you don't know which side to ride on. Go out parallel, that's bad. Go out states, that's bad. So if we got all this money in these departments that we should have, I think the streets should be a lot better. Because if I had a new car, which I don't, and you know, they're out there putting the little dark stuff, black stuff on the street, and they told me, I asked them, well, they run it, you know, like roll it down. They said, well, you roll over it and it'll get down. Or you may see them stepping on it, but it's not sufficient. You know, and so I did tell Mr. Fisher about that, you know, the incident. So I'm saying that when you got people out there working on the streets, you got to check behind and make sure they're doing the right thing. Overland Park, they're going to have a big machine to roll it down. And I think we should do that. Don't just give us anything. We already don't have nothing east of 635, but we have high taxes. So I think that the commissioners, even in our area, you got to be responsible to our area. Check it out. Get some people, developers, get some bids, you know, to get development going in our area. You know, you run for these offices, you get in there and sit there and just vote with everybody else. Hey, get them to vote with you. You know, that's, you know, you got to share that.
Your time has expired.
So we holding you responsible for that. All of Wyandotte County, not just a small portion.
The next speaker is Thomas Barnes. Pamela Penn Hicks on deck.
Good evening, Mayor, commissioners and staff. I have a complaint.
Sir, could you state your name, please?
Mayor, I met you. I talked with you, that is, on the telephone extensively before you elected. And I suggested that I think you're going to be the next mayor. I've been around here for over, well, since 1967. I've seen many mayors come and go. Most of them was ineffective, whatever word you want to use. Let me ask you a question, ma'am. Is the word discombobulation, is that derogatory? I want to know before I say it. Is it, okay. I have a complaint. I've had my house since 1967. My neighborhood is like a war zone. They start shooting in my neighborhood and I jump out of bed and hit the floor. My kids are grown and gone, so there's nobody there but me. I'm not moving unless they force me to move. The dogs in my community are something else, but I'm gonna hold on to that because the discombobulation comes in when I try to find out what to do to complain about it. I went to 4 different places. I did not know that they had 2 different clerk's offices here. Did you all know that? 2 different clerk's offices. One for the state and one for the city. I didn't know. Nobody told me. But the last thing I did was I was determined to find the right place to complain. And the clerk's office told me, go to the police department, police station down in Southern Minnesota. I went down there and guess what? They had a outage, power outage. No information to tell me where to go after that. So discombobulation setting in as far as I'm concerned. The police station have a power outage and no place to go, no one to complain or talk to about it. Now, I'm not going to go any further with this because I did finally get
1 minute remaining.
an appointment with the standing committee to complain about this. But Brother Wake, I appreciate you, what you're saying. And I want to know, do you know why people dislike BPU? One reason, because years ago, I've been a long time now, we were trying to get something done with Dr. Martin Luther King Day. And one of your staff said, why don't we kill 4 more and just give them a 5-day holiday? This is one of the people on BPU said that. Kill 4 more Black people. And give them a holiday off. That's why people dislike BPU. I hope that you will do something to improve it. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Pamela Penn Hicks, Marchita Butler on deck.
Good evening, Pamela Penn Hicks, Wyandotte County resident. Some of what I will say will sound a little redundant because we've covered some of these areas tonight. But I want to share with you that I attended the BPU meeting last night as I attend the commission meetings. And I had occasion to share with BPU board that it felt like we were being gaslighted because the UG and the BPU are one. Separate boards, true, separate responsibilities, true. But when you talk to one blames the other. And when you talk to the other, they blame the other. So it's kind of like siblings who have an unpleasant task in front of them. And it's like, you go first. No, you go first. So this community needs to have some cohesion about what's going on in our community. When it comes to the UG, we have heard you tell us that you can't provide services while paying our employees very well, but not verifying that those employees provide the services they are being paid for. We know that some employees fail to act as public servants, blocking the public's access to our representatives and preventing public discourse. We are told that the UG has no control over other taxing entities while working in concert with some of those others, like the USD 500 school district board and the library board, to float a tax increase bond that will fund the economic development projects that the UG wants to improve its image, such as the new schools and a new downtown library. The UG treats the BPU like a separate entity, as I've spoken, over which it has no control. But in reality, the UG uses this administrative agency and publicly owned utility as a cash cow, a bank, bill collector, and debt collector.
1 minute remaining.
Bifurcation of the bill, separating out UG charges would help our population keep the lights on, and so would a reduction in the pilot. The land bank has been used to hoard property gained through tax foreclosures and block access to homeowners and local developers, as you heard tonight. After unrelentingly high taxes have drained the existing tax base dry, the BPU is offering abatements to developers and rehabbers. Infill housing and chronically disinvested areas will have an impact of gentrification and displacement of existing residents, but it's being used to create new tax revenue without a plan to curb spending or reduce taxes. Haven't seen that plan yet. As this community goes forward, I would like to speak to Mr. Johnston particularly. Last year, you asked this community to give you time to find budget cuts and operational efficiencies that can reduce the tax burden on this community. You have been given that time, and we expect results.
Your time
Since
has
then, we've
expired.
had an opportunity to see more of your character.
Ma'am, your time has expired.
I will end there, but I would like to have that conversation so that we can find out more of what's going on to happen in our community. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Marquita Butler. Andrew Johnson on deck.
I am Marquita Butler. I live in Kansas City, Kansas. I'm here concerning real estate taxes and the hiring of the concrete company that is working in our area. The taxes were increased in the area from what they were in 2021 plus $20,000. And in 2023, they were raised again, $20,000. In our communities, we have a lot of elderly, we have people who don't have the resources for the taxes to in this degree. They may end up losing their houses. I saw a man in the courthouse whose half of his taxes was $4,000, just retired, just paid off his house, $8,000 that he had to be responsible for. And so we need those things addressed. Thank you, Mayor, for speaking on behalf of those things that we as a community, if we lose our houses, we lose our identities and where would we go? If these things are this high, then when the people can't pay their taxes, then they have to move, or some people come along and want to pay their next month's mortgage and buy their houses for monies that won't sustain them probably for the first year, let alone for the rest of their lives. So we need help in that community. I found out some things. I found out some things about the taxes, is that the 2021 tax abatement is standing, and those people who have taxes greater than that amount for 2021, when they file their taxes, they can get the reimbursement for everything above that 2021 amount. Hopefully people will know about these things. Homeowners, if they have not paid their taxes, they can protest before they pay their taxes. If you pay them, then you can't protest. So anybody who has taxes that are due and are having difficulties and having concerns, then go to the appraisal office and see if they can help you out with those things, help you fill out a protest, even though you have to pay the taxes. And hopefully some will be able to pay them so that maybe the rebates for the amount that we've paid will be able to keep us in our homes.
Your time has expired.
Thank you very much for your timing.
Our last speaker is Andrew Johnson.
My name is Andrew Johnson. I'm the president of Elevating Men. We're a 501c3 organization located at 1121 North Fifth Street. I just have something I want to say. When it comes to a lot of the problems that we see in our community, whether it's here in Wyandotte County, Kansas City, Missouri, or anywhere else in the United States, we see crime, we see fatherless homes, we see mothers struggling with children, we see all of these things. And I believe that everything that we see on the outside starts on the inside. It's a mental health issue. And as we know, the United States does have a mental health crisis. When we look at statistics, Kansas ranks near the bottom, right along with Missouri. And so what we're asking and advocating for is to work hand in hand with the mental health task force. We're looking for a research study so that we can look into the insurance industry and how they create situations that prevent many people from getting access to the help that they need. Middle-class people, when it comes to mental health, have a serious struggle. The insurance companies only want to pay a very small portion of the going rate, which makes most therapists and counselors go towards private pay at $100 to $200 per hour. Most people can't afford it. The second thing that we want is a pool of resources that can help fill that gap while legislation is being created so that more people can have access to the help that they need. That's it. Thank you.
Mayor, we have no other individuals who signed up to speak.
Thank you, clerks. Anybody online?
There are no hands raised.
Is there anyone else that'd like to speak before I close the? Please come forward, state your name, address.
Hi, I'm Ty Gorman, 2843 Parkwood Boulevard. I'm the director for the Sierra Club in the central region of the US, and moved into Wyandotte County 4 years ago. And since then been volunteering with a lot of great groups, including ECHO, Economic Community Health Organization, some of whom are here tonight, and Groundwork NRG, Clean Air Now, all of whom have been fighting for getting these regressive fees off of the BPU bills. So want to commend board member Wakes and the commitments made here to get those fees off those bills. And I want to talk a little bit about where I lived right before I came here, which was Portland, Oregon. One thing they did right was they had a great food cart program, economic development plan, open real late, and had a good supportive plan to make food carts a central part of their economy for the community and a destination for surrounding communities. So I think that is something you should look there for. But it's one thing they did horribly is in the 80s and 90s, they failed to address gentrification through progressive taxation policies and through rebates that were enough to keep their community intact in Portland. They ran pretty much all the Black people and Latino people out of Portland with these bad development policies that allowed big companies and banks to snap up properties after they pushed the people who owned them for generations out of their homes with the high property taxes and other methods. And because of that happened in the 80s and 90s, there was a whole playbook for anti-gentrification, progressive taxation policies. It's complicated, but you can Google it and it's there. And I'm sure some of you know it, some of the tactics involving really specific development fees, any
1 minute remaining.
flat fee that is per person is called a regressive fee for everybody. Those are all bad tax policy. There's no reason to have flat fees for any of the things that are on the BPU bill or any of the other taxes. Those should all be progressive, which means either they're use fees for the people who use the most resources, or if that's not appropriate, you charge the richest people the most, or if you don't have the freedom for that, like you don't with the property tax, you charge high and then immediately rebate to the lowest and most vulnerable people who've been here holding the community together for generations. These are well understood tactics that could be used in Wyandotte County now. It's not too late here like it was when I moved to Portland, Oregon, and they screwed it up and ran all the Black people out of Mississippi district and everywhere else in all Latino communities and other surrounding counties. We can't allow that to happen here, and the commissioner is the only one responsible for that.
Your time has expired.
So thank you very much.
Good evening, Mayor. You look nice. Glad to have you back. Good evening, commissioners. I've been coming here now
Ma'am, state
for,
your name, please.
I've been coming here now. Oh, by now I thought you knew me. Anyway, I'm Evangelist Fanny Hill. I live in Wyandotte County. And I'm gonna put my evangelist hat on tonight, Miss Evelyn. I've been coming here now for over a year, watching, listening, and just observing. And what I see is a community being destroyed by division. It's always the people against the commissioners. I woke up the other morning, I said, Lord, I'm tired of the fighting. It's always the leaders against the people. It should not be the leaders against the people. The leaders should be for the people, and the people and the commissioners should be working together. But you all don't listen. You listen, but you don't hear. You let us come up here and you let us talk, and after 3 minutes, you say, sit down. And then you all have come up and take 3 hours or a whole 2 hours while we sit, while everybody has to comment, everybody. For what? For what? We know that a house divided will not stand, but yet we refuse to come together. I came up here a few weeks ago and I shared something with you the Holy Spirit shared with me. When a man has too much power, he either becomes corrupt or he becomes abusive with that power. And I have watched you all abuse this community. You have done what you wanted. People have cried, they have begged, they have pleaded. And right now, I feel like you got your foot on the people's neck. And the people are still complaining and crying. And I have said to you, you don't have to answer me. I know what I'm talking about. I got mine from up there. There's more than enough money here to run this county efficiency. And God wants to help you. You don't have to take it if you don't want to, and you probably won't. That's fine. Because I said the other day, I said, Lord, nobody's listening to me. He said, that's okay. There'll come a time they will.
1 minute
There'll come a
remaining.
time you're going to have to listen to somebody. You're going to want to hear from somebody. Because look, the money is going, God only knows where, but he knows it's here. You're getting it from the people. You're doing with it what you choose to do. Right now, our children in school is suffering because they need better schools. The money is in the budget. It's just being taken to whatever department you want to put it in, doing whatever you want to do with it. Okay, government money can't be shifted around. What about the money you're taking from the taxpayers here? Give more of that to the schools to take care of our children. But you tell the children it's the taxpayers' fault. They don't want to pay no more taxes. I listened to that kid the other night. I said, son, I commend you with all my heart and soul. I commend you. But what you said is not correct. You don't know anything about the money. And you don't see the people being thrown out of their homes because they can't afford to pay. How in the world you going to give the money to the school and raise the taxes, throw the people out of the house and call that a victory? That's
Your time has expired.
That's not a victory. How you going to rejoice at the demise of throwing people in the street to build a school? That's not winning. That's not a victory.
Ma'am, your
And if
time
you
has
raise my
expired.
taxes and the kids stayed in the regular schools, how can I call that a victory? They still in a regular school, but my taxes got lower. People, nobody win at that. Nobody is winning at that. You all need to stop and listen.
Ma'am, your time has
I'm
expired.
going to say this to you and I'm going to sit down. Commissioners, you can write ordinance. You can write laws and rules. God's going to help you when you let somebody help you. Because the help you're going to get, it's going to come through somebody because he uses people. You need to give 1/3 of the power to the 3 mayors. And you need to give 1/3 of that power to the people so you can stop being abusive. That'll help you because you got too much power and you can't control
Ma'am, your
yourself
time
with that
has
much power.
expired.
My name is Mariah Hall. I just had something brief I wanted to state since it just popped up on my mind. I'm reading this piece of this article. It's a statement that says BPU staff said that the increase is needed to cover costs associated with aging, infrastructure, inflation, and maintenance. I was just thinking that of course they had some insight on wanting to build more and things like that in the environment. But I'm just thinking with the increase that's already going in several people's billing, along with it saying they will try to start a program to lower bills for low-income residents. There are people who already own homes and who want to own homes and also are not qualified to be considered as low income. And I believe that their bills should be considered in lowering also, because they're choosing to work and they're choosing to be employees under the unified government and in general in the community to be a help. Sometimes when you're qualified to be a low income family or resident, you don't really have that wide span to be qualified to work certain jobs and then still have the balance of finances with the assistance. So with that being said, I could elaborate on this, of course, with the lack of education that we have with where things have been funded and how we are going to break down the analysis of utilizing the funding. But I could speak at the next meeting on how I feel about that. Either way it goes, I feel like that was a point that definitely should be considered, and what also other people are stating that already have had
remaining.
homes and they already have been owning homes and working their jobs that they've actually been loving to do in the community, that they don't want to stop, and they're not qualified to be low income, and they need to be considered and should have been considered for several years, and they know they haven't. So we definitely, when we're considering people, shouldn't just consider the low income. We all need to come together because there are people all working in this environment and community to better one another. So thank you.
My name is Robert Ewing, and I'm a Wyandotte County resident. I've been here almost 60 years. I'm very, 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 very upset with everybody up here, except for the mayor right now. And I'm just gonna be straightforward. I wanna know, and I want this to be an assignment for you, and I want it done as a taxpayer. I wanna know how you compare to other cities and states on these rates for utilities, and also how you rate with the real estate taxes. Is it similar? Is it outrageous? Is it what? Can I get that? Yes or no? Can I get it? Can somebody please answer instead of just looking like I'm crazy? May I get it, please?
We can
I'll
have
be-
staff, we can have a staff member after you're done.
I'm sorry.
We'll have a staff member get with you when you're done.
And I'm very straightforward. I'm an educator. I'm very intelligent. I'm highly educated, but I'm very not happy right now. My taxes are $3,700. And you know how much I make as a teacher. I owe IRS $4,000 plus. I also owe taxes and insurance on my car, truck, house. I'm about to go bankrupt. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't want to do anything illegal or crazy, but the thoughts run across my mind. I'm tired and I'm straightforward. I don't care what anybody thinks or anybody says, but I'm just being straightforward because I'm a resident. I have a right to say what I want to say. I'm over 50, almost 60, so I have a right to say. If you're mad, you're just mad. But I'm done, and I want an answer from somebody. I have helped and helped and helped, and this Bonham knows that. Also, my commissioner is not here, but she has done some things for my community, and I'm proud, but I want more. I want more, and I demand more. I want to speak to somebody that includes this meeting about how you compare to other cities, states, and so forth. And I want it soon, because I've had enough.
Is there anyone else?
When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked beareth rule, they mourn.
Ma'am,
So-
please state your name.
See, y'all know who I am, CC Make in Wyandotte County. So if the UG is the parent company, like Mr. Andrew Davis said, then we don't need to go to the BPU meetings. We need to come here and hold y'all accountable for all of the charges on our bill, including the ones that BPU charges, because if you're the parent company, then you're responsible. I support the food trucks and all manners, and y'all need to cut it out. They pay too many taxes to deal with this. They keep it going around and around. The reason we aren't being heard is because y'all have an unethical legal department who instructs you to ignore our cries. This is why we're not being heard. The charter concerning the pilot, your legal department stood here in 2022. It was a gentleman, and I have it on Facebook, I have it on live, and you also have it in public meetings. Stood here and said that the charter was outdated, but you guys just changed the verbiage and continued charging us. There was a limit on that pilot fee, and I want my money back for everything after 10 years of charging that pilot fee, because the charter ran out. And you don't have the right to keep on charging us and change the verbiage. You should have put it back on the ballot for us to re-vote for it again if we wanted it, but you didn't, because you didn't want to listen to us because you have an unethical legal department. Now, Mr. Gardner, I really ask you, and I respectfully ask you to call your governor, your attorney general, and the Civil Rights Department of the FBI, because in your absence, your legal department advised this board under the supervision of Mr. Burrows to ignore us and to violate not only the Kansas Open Meetings Act, but our first, our second, and our inalienable rights to life, liberty, and a pursuit of happiness. And none of you have the authority to do that, because only God gives us that. And unless you have my signature on on my ink
1 minute
wet
remaining.
signature on a contract, you don't have the right to take my rights from me. In the case of Sullivan versus the New York Times, the Supreme Court set precedents that said we have a right and a duty to redress our grievances here to you. Okay, so you don't have the right to tell us we cannot express our First Amendment rights in any of your meetings, not even a 3 limit. I'm gonna respect your 3-minute limit, but we don't have to respect that because we created you. You did not create us. We make your things possible because our dollars make it possible. Our dollars pay her to be unethical here today. Our dollars pay for an overzealous clerk who keeps on, I have it on video, who keeps on directing her to be unethical. So I call for you to call, and I've already filed my complaint, but as our mayor
Your
and
time has
representative,
expired.
I'm asking you to file those complaints with us because we were violated in your absence. Thank you.
Is there anyone else before I close the public comment? Please state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Mania Taylor. My address is Wyandotte County. I'm a bill payer, I'm a taxpayer, and I work too hard to be as broke as I am. And I just like to attest to the fact that these people work too hard to be struggling for what they are, and I feel as though you guys aren't helping at all. That's all.
Okay, I'll close the public comment. Clerk, was there anyone online again?
There are no hands raised.
Okay, I know there are a lot of questions and one of the things I'm going to do a little different, if our commissioners choose to do so, they sat through, they listened patiently and heard your comments. Would our commissioners like to have any comments in regards to the open mic? Commissioner Davis.
Thank you. So for those of you that came to the Monday meeting for the Neighborhood and Community Development Standing Committee, thank you all so much. I did want to announce, I've just directed our staff and put out a call to all of the members of that committee to have an emergency meeting concerning the food trucks on May 15th. And so want to give you all some time because I know there were some individuals that weren't able to make it the first time, but just want to let you know, May 15th, I'm really hoping like we have a quorum. Again, it's an emergency meeting, meaning it's not necessarily on the schedule, but we're trying to move as fast as we can to find some sort of solution, even if it is not as aligned as folks would like it to be. And so May 15th, 5 o'clock, it's a Wednesday. It'll be 5th floor here at City Hall. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Just to follow up on the commissioner, in speaking with the administrator, I believe the original intent from what, during my absence, from what the administrator told me, the interaction with our food trucks was supposed to be informational only from, UG staff. And I believe that information has gone out. The administrator has assured me that until the Unified Government Commission can get some type of policy that they can agree on from this body to either maintain or to alter or enhance or make the changes that they will approve at some point, there will be a referendum on UG staff interacting with people on Central Avenue or anyone else in regards to food trucks. So you can rest assured of that. And if you have any issues with that, please contact my office or the administrator's office with those concerns. Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to know, just because I admit I don't know, like there were several other comments made and individuals. I thank you, Commissioner, for addressing the issue with the trucks. But like the young lady who inquired about her, one lady asked about an adult daycare. Who responds to her? Another lady mentioned she was a homeowner and had problems with codes, and there was nothing that happened that was in her favor or where she felt like her rights were compromised. Just wanted to know, how do we handle that? When I say how do we, what is the process? So I'm just asking. And there were others. These are just a couple. Just wanted to know, do we take the names down and then contact them? How do we handle that?
Usually when individuals from the community come and they have a complaint or they have a request for information or direction, usually individuals from my staff or the administrator has people that he's assigned. If they can make contact with these individuals before they leave, they try and make contact, gather the information, and try and bridge them to either the information or the resources to hopefully meet or exceed their expectations or find some type of pathway that hopefully they can satisfy their concerns. That's normally how it's supposed to work. We try not in these meetings, the way I've run them, is we allow the public to speak and make their regressives to this government. One of the issues that I don't want is I don't like the back and forth. So we just allow the public to make their concerns. We have staff address it if it is a concern. And then now I think it's appropriate, like Commissioner Davis has done, if there is a follow-up to a question or concern or a comment to something that is of interest to a commissioner, I will allow that as well. Okay, Commissioner Hill.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Just for transparency, there was several questions about where different funding is going and how come individuals are not given information. Is there a better way we can communicate with the community about the funding? Where is funding? So I've heard different individuals say money under the table and different things like that. So I would just like to just bring clarity to the community and show transparency. So what would you suggest we do to do a better job of communicating that?
I know one of the things that I do when I go out in the community, I always tell individuals to come to your commission meeting, your standing commission meetings. I also tell individuals to make sure they subscribe to the Unified Government's newsletter, as well as go to the Unified Government Clerk's page where they can get information as to when these meetings are occurring. And they can go to UGTV to follow up on past commission meetings. But more importantly, when they go to the clerk's office, I think one of the biggest things that they can look for is being able to speak, how to engage. And I know that our administrator has some ideas as well that he's working on that may be of value. Administrator?
One of the things that they'll spoon feed me next. One of the things that we've been doing in the budget process that we're undergoing is we have what's called dot talks. And that's where our budgeting team and our communication team holds workshops to help provide education to our public on the budgeting issues and where the money goes, and also has simulations where you can present your ideas on how the money should be spent and see the impact of those decisions on the entire budget. So we do various things throughout the year, and we're in the middle of the budget process. We have budget workshops with our commission. And so I encourage you to, if you can't be there at those meetings personally, those are televised as well. So again, look at the calendar that the clerk puts out, and whatever interests you, please tune in. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Burrows.
Thank you, Mayor. I would just state that many of us up here really do listen. I got 30 responses, 30 people that spoke this evening. I got your names and your subject matter, and I will go through that. I've done that at every public comment meeting, and I keep it for a matter of record when we work on policy. So please know there are those of us that are listening. And I believe that we really do lack a local newspaper, a media outsource that gets out to the general public. And that is a challenge for us. But many of us are within the community, going to different events, hold different town halls around the community. And we do our best to communicate in a transparent and forward manner. But when you see me writing, I'm taking names and the issues that you bring forward. Today was 30. You filled up the whole page for me, and I'll go back and put it with my file, and I'll go through those and identify like items and categorize them. So when it comes time to do policy and budget, those are the first things that come to the forefront in my advocacy for the community. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And before I go to the next commissioner, just to reiterate, and I left out, you can also go to the clerk's page. We've been going through budget talks. And so if you want to know about where your money's going, how it's being spent, the priorities of this commission, please go to the clerk's page. Those meetings should be there, as well as information on the UG webpage and the newsletter. And then you can come to those, or you can watch online, and it will better inform you from a general sense of the unified government needs, what type of revenues we're bringing in, how your tax dollars are being spent, and then the priorities that the commission puts forward, and then their final vote on what the budgetary disposition will be going into next year. And then also, thank you, Mr. Murray. I said that referendum, he corrected me, so I stand corrected. It will be a moratorium. So my English was off on educating our food trucks in the area of 18th and Central. So until this commission can bring a final disposition to that matter, you shouldn't have that type of interaction with UG personnel until Commissioner Davis's committee brings that issue to a head. So thank you. Commissioner Lopez.
Yeah. Oh, is Joyce Jones still here? Or did she leave? I didn't get her address, but I didn't know. Did she leave? Oh. Oh. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from our commissioners? Seeing none, that closes the public comment and the open mic. Thank you all for all your information and for your comments. Your comments, your views, your recommendations, be it compliments or criticism, that's how we get better. I don't take offense to anything that you may say to me. I want to make sure that not only me, but all our elected individuals get that information so we can figure out how best to provide the goods, the services, and the resource and the type of leadership that you've come to expect from your elected body. So thank you, commissioners, for listening and sitting through that, as well as our staff. And thank you for community for showing up and expressing your concerns. That takes us to our regular consent agenda. Do any members of the commission or county administrator wish to set aside any item on the regular consent agenda? And if item is not set aside, all items on the regular consent agenda will be voted on by one vote.
Move to approve all items as submitted.
Okay, there is a motion to approve. I'll accept that motion. Is there a second? There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk roll call.
Roll call, Kane. Aye. Lopez.
Aye.
Stites. Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. That takes us to our standing committees agenda. The first item under the standing committee agenda is approval of a resolution adopting the Second Amendment to assignment assumption of second amended and restated development agreement to the home field project. This item was heard by the Economic Development and Finance Standing Committee chaired by Commissioner Burrows on Monday, April 29th, 2024, and approved to be fast tracked to tonight's meeting. I'll ask Commissioner Burrows to make some opening remarks.
Thank you, Mayor. The developer did appear before the committee. It was unanimous decision to pass it forward with the amendment to fast track it to tonight's meeting. So I do know that we do have the developer here. Mayor, if there's any questions the commission would care to ask.
Thank you, Commissioner. Are there any comments or questions from the commission? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So move.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk roll call. I'm sorry, hold on.
Yes.
Just clarity, council want us to be sure that was just for the first item, and I believe that's what the motion was for, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and there is a motion and a second to that effect. Clerk roll call.
Roll call, Kane. Aye. Lopez.
Aye.
Stites. Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. This takes us to the second item on the under the standing committee's agenda. It's approval of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of tax exempt community improvement district sales tax revenue bonds series 2024A related to the home field project and the maximum amount not to exceed $15 million. This item was heard by the Economic Development and Finance Standing Committee chaired by Commissioner Burrows on Monday, May 29th, 2024, and it was approved to be fast tracked to tonight's meeting. I'll ask Commissioner Burrows for some remarks.
Thank you, Mayor. The next two items were included with the original item. The first item, the 2024A bonds are for $15 million. They're covered by a CID. The city has no responsibility in repayment. Those CID bonds are for 15 million. And then the next item, and I'll go ahead and do it right now, is for 25 million. And the revenue is covered through increased fees associated to room nights, as well as additional fees on okay, do this one. Okay, yeah. Well, the mayor's just encouraged me to go ahead and do the next one also because they're all related to the Star Bonds project out at Homefield. So if you'll allow me to do just that, we'll cover all three of them. We'll have to vote on them individually. But they came through the meeting with the recommendation of approval unanimously and approved to move fast track to here this evening. The final item is the Atlas 9 industrial revenue bonds. The IRBs are standard procedure in eliminating the sales tax on construction goods and materials used for the construction on the site. So with that, Mayor, I would move approval of item number. It would go back. Item number 2.
Ma'am, I'm just going to have to ask you for some order. I understand that this is in standing committee. It's full commission meeting. I understand, but there is no item that has been brought forward for public comment on these items. And I understand that, ma'am. But what I'm saying is what was published to the public did not involve public comment on any of these items. And I apologize. I under, ma'am, I'm trying to be respectful. What I'm gonna tell you is, it was not published that way. It was not assigned for public comment, and I apologize for that. If you have further comments, you can always contact Commissioner Burrows for clarity.
Yeah.
As well. You can contact me as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so the first item is item number 2024A. Commissioner Burrows spoke to that. Is there a motion for approval?
David second.
Was there a motion for approval? If there was,
Yes.
I missed it.
Commissioner Burrows.
Okay, there's a motion from Commissioner Kane and a second, I believe, from Commissioner Davis. All right. Any further discussion? Clerk, roll call.
Roll call, Kane. Aye. Lopez.
Aye.
Stites. Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. It's takes us to the third item. It was under the standing committee agenda's approval of an ordinance authorizing issuance of tax exempt community improvement district sales tax revenue bonds, series 2024B, related to the home field project in the maximum amount not to exceed 25 million. This item was heard by the Economic Development and Finance Standing Committee chaired by Commissioner Burrows on April 29th, 2024, approved to be fast tracked to this meeting from his committee. He's already spoke to that. Is there any discussion? There is a motion. I will accept that. There is a second. I'll accept that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, clerk roll call.
Roll call, Kane. Aye. Lopez.
Aye.
Stites.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, this takes us to the last item, which is item number 4. Under the standing committee agenda's approval of a resolution of intent to issue industrial revenue bonds for the Home Film Atlas 9 Immersive Museum in the amount not to exceed $30 million. This item was heard by the Economic Development and Finance Standing Committee chaired by Commissioner Burrows on Monday, April 29th, 2024. And I, just for clarity, that item number 3 of 2024B was also heard by Commissioner Burrows on Monday, April 29th, 2024 as well. I just wanted to add that. I know it's already been approved, but for the record, going back to the Atlas 9 Industrial Revenue Bonds, item number 4. This was fast tracked from Commissioner Burrows Standing Committee. He spoke to that. Is there any discussion? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
So move, Mayor.
There's a motion and a second. Clerk roll call.
Roll call, Kane. Aye. Lopez.
Aye.
Stites.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Ramirez.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, this ends our commission meeting. There is no further items on the agenda for tonight. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
So
move,
moved.
Mayor.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Clerk roll call.
Can I clarify who did the second?
Ramirez was the second on the Atlas 9 one.
No.
Okay, clarity for the clerk. There was a motion by,
David second. Davis.
okay, we've got a motion and a second.
Same sound.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Roll call, Kane. Aye. Lopez.
Aye.
Stites.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Bynum.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Burns. Ramirez.
Aye.
Hill.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Nice to see you. Oh, yeah. Glad to see you. Moving around.
Good seeing you. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sitting through.
Thank you.